Guys, welcome back for another podcast with today's guest, Tony Hughes. I have been rushing around for the past few hours trying to make sure I have a stable internet connection this time, as I lost you yesterday. But Tony, I have been waiting years for this opportunity. I honestly have. Um, I'll hand it over to you. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Thanks, Shane. Yes, I'm Tony Hughes. I'm CEO of SalesIQ Global. We work with some of the biggest tech companies in the world to help them across all of the sales cycle, whether it's pipeline generation, driving progression through to deal win and managing deal risk, negotiation for sales, some transactional and tactical and relationship sales skills as well. I've taught sales for a number of universities for Australia. I've been CEO of North American companies running the Asia Pacific region. And I just recognize that B2B selling, business to business selling, is definitely one of the toughest professions on the face of the planet. And things are changing very quickly.
And why? Why did you get into this in the first place?
I've always had a passion for selling. When I was 25, I came back from the USA to Australia after starting my own business in the States. And one of the big things I learned in America is that if you can't personally sell and market, you are nowhere in business as an entrepreneur. Now, I've been focusing very much on the marketing, and what I learned in the USA is I needed to improve my sales skills. So we'd sold our previous company in Australia. I had a non-compete, and I thought, I'm not sure what I want to do in business next, but one thing's for certain, I need to learn how to sell. So I got a job in sales, and it's been incredibly good to me. I rose through the ranks of selling to become CEO of a number of companies, and I really want to give back.
So for someone like yourself who's been through it quite a lot now, you've got tons of experience. At what age did you realize you were a seller, or what you had the ability to sell?
Well, I was an anti-seller. Even when I got my very first job in sales at 25, back in the days of the radio paging industry, this was back when the first Wall Street movie came out. I remember he had that crazy big phone that he was walking around with. So cell phones were a new thing. Radio paging was the way to get written communication to people out in the field wirelessly. I know this sounds like a dinosaur talking, but it's amazing how in our lifetime technology's changed. So I got a job in the radio paging industry, but on the weekends I would go to barbecues or social events, and people would ask me, "Hey, Tony, what do you do for a living?" And I just couldn't spit it out that I was a salesperson, right? We all have these fancy other words other than salesperson, right? But what I came to understand is that professional selling is first and foremost about making a positive difference in the lives of other people, for them both personally and professionally. It's not about manipulating people. It's not about crushing the deal, closing the prospect, killing the competition. It's not about any of those things. It's about service, and it's about helping people. And my first big epiphany was, if I am to be successful at this, I need to park my ego, and I need to learn how to get out of my own way. So I had all these negative perceptions. I'd had a lot of negative experiences in dealing with salespeople, being on the buyer side for many years in business. So I've really sought to elevate selling as a profession my whole life, and I really want to give back, because if you can get out of your own way, if you can cope with rejection, if you can blend this insane level of skill together, we need to be an evangelist. We need to be an engineer of value. We need to be a psychologist. We need to be a great negotiator. We need to be a good presenter. We need to learn how to write. So many salespeople today just cannot write, nor do they read, right? And you think, is there any profession in the world that is not any good at writing and where they do not read? You imagine if you were dealing with a doctor and they said, "Look, I'm not really into reading." Okay, are you serious? Like you don't stay up to date about what's happening with the latest clinical trials and drugs and treatments for conditions? Most sellers say they're a professional, but they don't use their system of record. They're really poor at keeping their CRM system current. Imagine if you went to your doctor again and you had your session with the doctor and they didn't update any of their systems. They just wrote you out a script and said, great, come and see me again if there's a problem. And you said, well, hang on, aren't you going to update the patient record system? Imagine if they said, look, hey, Shane, do you want me to diagnose you and give you a script, or do you want me to fill in the CRM, the patient record system? That's, well, I expect you to do both. You're a professional, and yet we get those crazy responses from sellers. So there's, all of these different skills. We need high IQ. Well, you don't need high IQ, you need reasonable IQ. You definitely need high EQ, but increasingly today we need TQ, technical quotient. So emotional intelligence, intellectual intelligence, but also technical intelligence. The world is changing very rapidly. Most people are asleep at the wheel when it comes to AI. They're either very fearful, but most people are very complacent.
So for somebody, I feel I was quite low on my emotional intelligence or on my emotional quotient. I only discovered technical quotient after reading the book right behind you, Tech Powered Sales and Combo Prospecting by J. Mike. How does somebody become acquainted, accustomed, introduced to emotional quotient or emotional intelligence when all they hear is Instagram? I don't know if you've heard him. His name's Andrew Elliott. Have you heard of this guy? Andrew Elliott is he's the new world's best sales trainer. Okay. He's got this tight t-shirt. It says Elliott, Army Elliott, tight pants, no socks, little loafer shoes. And he is talking about car salesman, like being a car salesman and how he closed that motherfucker on the phone. Or you got to close him. You got to tell him what to do. And these kind of things, when I hear them, I'm just like, is this guy a moron? Because you cannot do this stuff in B2B sales. You can't do this stuff in the real world. That is manipulation. That is being deceitful. You're not controlling somebody. You just come across as an ass. And I realized that a very long time ago when I tried to emulate Grant Cardone's selling style with one of my dad's friends. And he goes, no, you just sound arrogant, Shane. And I threw all his books in the bin. So how do you become acquainted, introduced to emotional quotient if you've never heard of that before?
Well, nobody wants to deal with a self-centered, narcissistic blabbermouth. Nobody's interested. We know that the best way to influence somebody is to have empathy and build some rapport, but to show the right intent. We need to turn up where our intention is to help them drive improved results for themselves in their role in a way that monetizes really strongly for their business, so that whatever they do with us is self-funding. That's the essence of what it takes to really create an opportunity. And buyers today expect us to turn up with a point of view. They're not interested in educating a seller so the seller can give them their pitch. If for example, let's just imagine I was selling marketing automation software, so companies like HubSpot and Salesforce and Adobe, these marketing automation platforms. Imagine I was selling that and I was selling into the online retail industry, and I was targeting the chief marketing officer in one of those businesses, right? So that's maybe the context of this. So if I give them a call, disingenuous rapport building doesn't work. Hey Craig, it's Tony from ABC company. We're the intergalactic market leader in marketing automation platforms. How's your day going? The first thing you're thinking is, I already have technology. I'm not looking to add to the stack. I'm not lonely and bored looking for another person from the land of sales to come into my life and help me while away the day. I'm busy. I'm stressed. My boss is putting enormous pressure on me. I'm getting eaten alive by competition. I need to get home to have dinner with my family. So people are just not interested. People are being bombarded through all of these channels. So what we teach in our programs, what I talked about in combo prospecting, on a road combo prospecting, was, yes, you need to adopt an omni-channel approach to breaking through into the world of the buyer, pattern interrupting combinations of touches. But the prerequisite for that strategy being effective is you need to nail your narrative. You need to be having the right conversation, and any conversation that's about us is a conversation that is ineffective. The conversation needs to be about them. So, we've got a framework. Most sellers are bottom up. They go, this is me, this is where I'm from, this is what we do. Here's a bit of proof about our credibility. What keeps you awake at night? Then they think that earns the right.
God. You.
I'm being facetious, right? But they think establishing our credentials will earn the right to ask some questions. And that's, again, I work with a lot of sellers who think, well, the main problem I have is that our brand isn't strong enough. And I say, look, brand is less than 20% of the decision criteria for any B2B buyer. More than 50% of their decision criteria is the engagement experience they have with the people they eventually buy from. So you are the single biggest point of difference. Don't lazily depend on your brand. Your brand doesn't matter. And a brand often creates a perception. It often creates a perception. So, for example, if a Salesforce rep called someone up and that Salesforce rep is selling their marketing cloud product, right? So it's marketing automation. The moment they say, I'm from Salesforce, the person's going to think, oh, CRM, right? It creates a false perception. HubSpot, does a lot more than just marketing automation that creates inbound flow. Like, they do a lot more than that, but people can often just have that perception. So what we say is, you introduce yourself. Hey, Mary, it's Tony from HubSpot. Hey, I was on your website recently, or hey, I'm one of your customers. I noticed something in the shopping experience on your website. Right. So now I've warmed up and contextualized, and now I give them my point of view. Hey, Mary, the reason for the call is I think there could be a way for you to drive down acquisition cost and at the same time increase repeat purchasing. Do you mind if I ask, what's your current strategy to drive improvements in those two metrics? Now, if Mary says, well, hang on, it's kind of inside information. Before I answer that, how is it that you think I could drive down acquisition cost and at the same time improve repeat purchasing? Because, they're two key metrics that the CEO measures me on, a CMO. Now, what most sellers do is they make the mistake of jumping into, with our award-winning product, right? then off they go. So what we teach is obviously you need to contextualize and warm things up very quickly. Whenever we call somebody, the attention clock is ticking down. And I'm not sure whether you're aware, Shane, of the best it gets for a seller. When we spring from the bushes and call somebody and they answer the phone, shock, they've answered the phone. Hello. What do you think it is? What's the maximum amount of time that we get? If we're great at what we do, what's the maximum amount of time that we get before they're thinking, how do I get off the call? What do you think?
I read Chris Voss's book. He said you have 7 seconds.
It is 7 seconds. That is exactly right. The 7-second clock is ticking down. Now, we've got to hook some interest to get the attention clock ticking again. The second time we get it ticking, we'll have more like 30 seconds. So what we did is within 7 seconds, we've hooked some interest, right? We've got them to say, hang on, how? And what we do is we then talk about strategy. So we've led with the result, and we now go to strategy, not our capability. So what I would say is, Mary, great question. It's around more effective targeting where there's stronger buying intent and with improved personalization for more effective engagement. That's how we've seen other online retail brands drive down acquisition costs, typically by about 20%. The way they're doing that is they're getting much stronger ROI on their marketing spend because they're targeting, where there is stronger buying intent. And then with the improved engagement, like through personalization, everyone expects us to show relevance, right? That's part of getting engagement. That's how they're driving those results. And I'm not on the inside of your business. Maybe you're doing things really well right now. I'd love to get together and see what sort of gap there is and whether it would make sense to even talk with us. But typically we see a 20% reduction in acquisition cost, and we see an uplift in repeat purchasing by 30%. So how do you feel you benchmark, Mary, against your peer competitors with acquisition cost and repeat purchasing now? So that's an example of how we teach people to open. So really important that we understand what our ideal customer profile looks like so that we can target effectively. That's how we can target effectively. The whole world is not a prospect. And I won't go into all of the elements of that. And then we need to document our buyer personas. We need, these roles I just described, the chief marketing officer. Like, if we document a buyer persona, we'll capture, well, how are they typically KPI'd? What are the stresses and pressures that they're dealing with? What is the language that they use? So if you're an insider in their world, right? So we know in the business-to-business selling world, a marketing manager is typically responsible for MQLs that are accepted as SQLs that then convert to revenue, right? So this thing of MQL to SQL would be an example in your buyer persona documentation of language, right? Or terms that person typically uses. So most sellers are good at talking about why they think we make sense as a vendor to select or a partner to select. But what they're not great at is this whole thing of, well, why change now? So they're okay at why us, but why should someone consider change now? So I think a third of business to business sellers, especially in the world of inbound salespeople, right? Salespeople responding to inbound, are going to disappear this current decade.
That's a very interesting point, and it's why we've drove the topic on AI in our industry and how it's impacting. And I'll just give you a bit of a preface. I've just joined as the Chief Partnerships Officer at a company called Mega.ai, and we are on a mission to redefine or define the future of outbound, and that's going to come from 24/7 AI autonomous agents. And the benefit to any type of customer is obviously instant ramp-up times, 24/7 meeting booking. And we just hosted a roundtable today on the ethics behind AI in sales and marketing and how will be impacted, customer data, privacy laws, opt-in leads, and it drove a ton of engagement. I'd like to get your opinion on how AI is shaping our industry today and the impact it's having in your world.
So my third book that you can see behind me up here, Tech Powered Sales. So I co-authored Tech Powered Sales with Justin Michael. We made a lot of bold predictions in that book. The book was published over 3 years ago, and we predicted the rise of ChatGPT before anybody was talking about it. And in the book, we make this prediction that 30% of B2B salespeople will be gone this decade. Now I've heard a real recording of an AI seller making an outbound phone call to a prospect and securing a follow-up meeting for the human in their sales organization. A whole conversation. The conversation goes on for a couple of minutes. And even though the AI, to honor ethics, says that I am the AI assistance of, Bill Brown. Like I am the AI assistant of Bill Brown. If you'd like to talk to Bill, I can put you through to him. But do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Because the person was doing email and they sounded a bit distracted on the call. The human being missed the fact that the AI bot told it was an AI bot, and the person didn't realize they missed it. Right? Like we all know this. Often we as sellers will talk to people, and you can tell the person is not really fully engaged, right? Often if you go lose a deal and ask for a debrief, we call it internally a loss review, but to the buyer, you don't call it a loss review. You just say, hey, we've both invested a significant amount of time and effort in the process, and we respect your decision. We'd really appreciate a debrief, just so we can learn and improve the way we're going to market. And often when you go into a loss review, you'll ask them, hey, do you mind if I ask, why was it that you didn't select us? And what I've often seen in these reports and heard in loss reviews I've conducted, oh, we didn't go with you because of the fact that, because we really needed this. And you're sitting there and your head's about to explode. You're going, that's our strength. You didn't select us for that reason. That's the reason you should have selected us, right? Is this customer an idiot? And the truth is we didn't communicate our unique point of difference and the value around that effectively. Just because we said it doesn't mean they heard it and retained it and really owned it. And we know that people are best convinced for reasons that they themselves discover. And that's why being able to ask great, open, and insightful questions is really important to get the person talking about their own problem and their own gap so that they have their own epiphany. Hey, we need to invest in change in this area. We're losing market share. We're losing our competitiveness within our own cost base. We're at risk of a market entrant taking market share from us in the future. We need to improve operational efficiency. We need to make this a priority. But us telling them what we do and that they should doesn't motivate anybody. Right? People are best convinced for their own reasons. So when it comes to AI, human beings, sellers, need to focus on the things that humans do incredibly well, and create a AI sales assistant. And there's lots of AI tools. The holy grail in AI that is not here yet. It's not here yet. The thing that's missing in AI for people is the orchestration layer.
Wow.
Orchestration layer.
For those that don't know what that is.
Well, so in the book Tech Powered Sales, towards the end of the book, I wrote a chapter in there about a day in the life of tomorrow. And what I do is I talk about this scenario, and it seems like it's all science fiction. And I make the point that every single thing that you just read, every single thing is all here today. Like, so for example, AI can schedule a meeting. You used, tech to schedule a meeting with me. Right now, we've had problems with tech today in getting on this call, right? So tech is great when it works, and it isn't great when it doesn't. But the reality is, already today, AI can schedule a meeting. You can turn up in the call. AI can record the call. It can do a transcript of the call. It can analyze the transcript, and it can identify buying signals, can identify competition. It can document what the actions are. It can create a draft email for you to send to your prospect or customer after the meeting. You can integrate this so it can post that into the CRM system so that we've actually got a record. AI can even figure out buying intent and emotion, positive or negative emotion in the call from the other person. Trigger events is a really powerful thing for people in the marketplace. So I talked earlier about defining our ideal customer profile. So if we think about that marketing automation example I gave previously, right? If you thought, okay, I'm a rep, I'm based in New York, my territory or patch that I've been given is tech businesses below $10 million of revenue. So these are sort of, Series B sort of scale up tech businesses. Well, the thing is, you can use technology to go and scour the internet and find those companies, right? You can find the companies, and there's tech that runs, headless browser technology. It looks at the websites of companies. It starts to figure out, what is the marketing system sitting in behind the website, right? So we know, for example, for HubSpot, which is a fine company, a lot of small businesses use HubSpot, right? Brilliant company. So HubSpot will often provide a website for customers as part of their solution. Right now, let's imagine that you were competing against HubSpot, right? So you could use tech, like go and find me companies in this sector, this sort of number of their employees, or they've done a Series A or Series B, because if a company does a capital raise, they'll put a press release on their website to say that they raised capital, right? Or they'll have a us page that says who's invested in them. Again, tech could go to the website, have a look at those pages, right? Now, there might be particular VCs right? So maybe there's a particular fund or a venture capitalist where they had a really bad experience with your company in the past, and over their dead body, will they let any of their companies work with you? Well,
Yep.
those companies are not in your ICP, right? So you could say to AI, don't give me a list back of companies that have, this VC as a major shareholder, right? Or you might decide, companies that use this particular competitor. So you might decide we have a very low win rate against HubSpot, right? Like people love HubSpot. It's all integrated together really well for what they're doing. And unless they get to be much bigger than the patch I've got, it's really difficult to get them away from HubSpot. But these other companies using these other products, we have got a very high success rate of converting them away. Well, you can use headless browser technology to go find that company's competitors, right? Sorry, to find your competitors' companies, right, that are using their product.
Mm-hmm.
So now you get a list that's relevant to you. Then you can get AI to monitor for trigger events, right? So anytime a company puts up a job ad or a post where they're hiring a CMO, you go, when they hire a head of marketing, they hire someone dedicated to that role, that is a trigger event. They're getting serious about marketing, right? And every new senior person into a role is looking for a quick win. So I won't go on, but here's the thing. There's lots of tech out there that does lots of incredible things. It can go and source cell phone numbers, email addresses, monitor for trigger events, analyze the website, assess, what competitive products they're using, right? All of these things. It can record and transcribe a call, but orchestrating all of this together, right? This whole thing of a wingman. I know that's a gendered term, but sort of a wing person, right? So
Yep.
to have an AI sales assistant is going to be all about the orchestration layer, and I'm having conversations with companies about that.
I find that really interesting, and I do remember I was sitting in my living room. I was reading Tech Powered Sales, and I was going through the list of companies to watch out for in certain categories. And the one that really stood out for me 3 years ago is Reggie.ai. That was the
Yes.
one that really, really stood out to me. And now, as you mentioned, trigger events, Apollo has hit the scene extremely hard. Every single company has AI composed email components now. And in terms of, I just literally had a demo the other day. There's a company called Ocean.io. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but their ability to map a replica of a website and find those competitors far more than what LinkedIn can do is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And it'd be interesting to know, with somebody who has so much knowledge in the evolution of AI, you knew what it was going to be doing 3 years ago. I'm sure you're probably 3 years ahead now. So how are you using AI in your business today?
So I don't think anybody knows exactly where AI is going to go. I'm not in the mass selling game, right? I'm a small business with a small number of very, very high value customers. And I have more work than I can cope with, is actually the reality, right? So this whole thing of AI and automation plays a role when you're getting into volume. So as you're scaling, businesses driving huge amounts of volume. So driving cost out and improving experience and productivity for employees and customers and partners is why investing in technology makes sense. So no business has an assured future unless they are committed to being very good at using technology, because technology is the key to driving cost out. So I'm not sure people know where everything's going. Everybody is plugging Chat GPT or Bard or whatever their chatbot du jour is, in and saying, oh, our platform is now all AI enabled, right? But the truth is, it's the orchestration. So I think the first role that's going to be heavily impacted is inbound selling. So in other words, someone touches your website and registers interest. Right?
Okay.
So they fill in a form like, hey, or yes, I do want to talk to somebody. And I've had a look at companies. There's an amazing company out of New Zealand called Soul Machines. They've done a lot in replicating the human brain in how AI learns. They're a very interesting company, but big banks, big global car manufacturers are using their video bots as customer service agents, right? So again, they're dealing with people that say, yes, I want to chat to somebody right now, and rather than a text-based chatbot. And by the way, I'm sure you've had the same, Shane. I've interacted with lots of text-based chatbots, and they're hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I'm in this circular loop of going nowhere, right? Can I please talk to a human?
Agent.
Oh, feel free to click on, and it keeps giving you 3 choices of FAQs and a link to, like, it hasn't been built properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But rather than text-based, these are video-based, and this human being pops up. Now, they look a little creepy because, but I know all of us, when we went and saw Avatar, we were blown away in the first Avatar how far digital rendering of a human-like image had actually come. And it's only getting better. It was even better again in the latest Avatar movie, which was way too long and I think a pretty big mess. But with inbound, people are thinking, look, I'm not looking for another friend. I don't want another person in my life. I don't want an idiot seller trying to manipulate me. I just want my questions answered. Right. And if you can do that with a video bot, I think about my life with banking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any friends from the bank. I don't have a relationship with the bank manager. I don't, if I never have to set foot in a bank branch for the rest of my life, I'll be very happy. I love the app and I love the online web experience that I get. And I can phone my business banker the couple of times a year that I need to. So if a video chatbot will do it for us, and that really is the world of inbound, right? If someone says, hey, look, I'm interested in your marketing automation tool. Does it do this? Does it do that? Now, again,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen really good AI sales bots in action, and they are better than sellers. They are better at listening. They're recording everything. They ask great questions. It really is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hungover. They're not having a bad day. They're not all stressed. Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. There was a company. Well, I'm always doing research on who the next best thing is out there, and there was this company I came across, and I watched the video, and it was more of a B2C environment, but they demonstrated a call scenario where somebody called and the AI bot answered, and he said, "Hey, this is an AI bot. My name is John. How can I help you today?" And the person said, "I'm trying to get this done for this, for this, for this." And he said, "Okay, fine. Would you like me to put you through to a rep?" He said, "Yes, please." He said, "Okay, just before I put you through to the rep, it's probably going to take 8 minutes just while I patch you through. However, I'm trained to answer these questions and get you done in 2. Would you like to speak to me?" What do you think the guy said?
Yes.
Of
Yeah.
course, right? And that for me triggered something. And the next day I called Pizza Hut because I can order on Deliveroo or Uber Eats or whatever. I can do it on the app, but I didn't want onions on my pizza. It took me 6 minutes to speak to the guy about removing onions from the goddamn pizza. If I could have an AI agent just to click that through, it would have saved me I almost ruined my whole evening. Now, the future of AI, in my opinion, I want to get your prediction on this. It looks a little something like this. We had it on a roundtable the other day, and his name is Martin. He's from a company called Miami. And he said, "Shane, as much as we're talking about AI agents and whether AI agents can call a human and not lie, they can tell the truth, they cannot be manipulative. You are going to be in an environment where, Tony, you will have your own AI agent and I will have my own AI agent, and our agents will speak to each other before we actually get on the phone, and they will book appointments through each other. And if they don't click," and that for me was like, oh my God. So for you, what do you believe the predictions for 2024 only are going to be, based on your best kind of batting average, or based on your best ability to answer the question, where you believe it will go, your gut instinct? What are your predictions for 2024 in AI?
With all technology and change, things are not done well for quite a period of time before people become good. And right now we're in a phase where people are implementing AI really poorly. So people are using ChatGPT, and it all looks like it was written by ChatGPT. And people are using automation. I actually joke about this in combo prospecting and tech-powered sales, that if you load spam and dross into your Gatling gun of automation and just start blasting away, you are going to burn through a list and damage your brand very quickly, right? So contextualization and relevance, the way that we personalize the outreach is massively important. We need to make sure that what we're automating doesn't look like it's automated, and it all does. There's automation bots in LinkedIn. I've got well over 300,000 followers inside LinkedIn, and I think 25,000 first-degree connections. And every day I open LinkedIn, I groan. Like I just get a flood of absolute rubbish. And you can tell a lot of it is automated, right? Because in my LinkedIn profile, it says Tony J Hughes, because there's a number of Tony Hugheses in the world. And famous people, actors, racing car drivers. You know, there's some big grand poobah in Amway that's called Tony Hughes in the UK. There's a university professor here in Sydney called Tony Hughes, who are the same name, and I've taught at universities, so you know the confusion. So my LinkedIn profile says Tony J Hughes. Anytime I get an email that says "Hello, Tony J," like what that says is they've used a screen scraper and they've scraped LinkedIn, and now they're marketing to me, right? So anything that says Tony J is instantly deleted. So anyway, I've played a lot with Bard and ChatGPT, and I've asked to write emails and can you make it shorter and do this, and it's really good. It is super impressive. The skill that all sellers need to master is the skill of prompt engineering, right?
I agree.
So what I talked about in combo prospecting, you know, and also in tech-powered sales, is sellers need to be really good at creating a Boolean search. Most sellers have no idea. Like, it's just a basic technical skill. Be really good at creating a Boolean search. Well, the modern equivalent of that is now becoming, you need to be really good at prompt engineering. The quality of the question you ask AI, the way you structure that question is going to determine what it is that you get back. So prompt engineering is important, but the short answer, well, it's a long answer. The concise version to answer your question is that people are going to be using things like ChatGPT really, really poorly in the next 2 or 3 years until things get better. And it's the orchestration layer of AI, bringing all of these AI agents together within a seamless process to deliver great customer or prospect experience, and then inject the human being into the processes at exactly the right times.
I agree, because if you've played with it enough, and I'll show you, I can just in this point alone, I can show you how much I've used it, that I get the answer or the warning or whatever it is, or the caution, you cannot use GPT anymore because you've exhausted your attempts. That's how many questions I will ask it, because I'm sure you know that, yes, whilst you can become a great prompt engineer, you have to get there first. And you'll start to see that when GPT gives you those answers, they're not always accurate, and they're a little bit all over the place. And sometimes they are really repeated answers of the same kind of thing. Now, what helped me push the boundaries a step further is an app called Perplexity, or have you heard of Perplexity yet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay, so Perplexity now is Google on steroids to just give you the answer. And I've done a lot of research now where I've asked Google something, I've asked ChatGPT something, and Perplexity is the most accurate outcome out of all of them. It's absolutely incredible. So what do you think about that? The quality of your prompts.
Trust. We live in and Shane, I've got 2 minutes and I need to jump off, but
That's fine.
Trust is everything. Like, trust is massively important. Nothing happens without trust. The level of trust determines the level of commitment, the speed at which they'll move, the level of information they'll share, the access they'll grant. The problem with search and tech is everyone lives in a bubble, and most people don't know it. So we live in a world where truth has become a very subjective thing. And the Google bubble is one of the things that creates that problem. So again, the whole thing of orchestration, this thing of values-driven AI is going to be the thing, because AI hallucination, that's the technical term. AI hallucination is a very real thing. AI very confidently tells you many things that are just wrong. Right? Because generative AI is just thinking, well, what is, I'm going to predict what the next best word would be to insert in here. It's not really concerned about truth, right? So, and AI is now training AI, right? So every version of GPT is being trained on it by its previous version, right? So we've gone from guided learning to true machine learning, and this thing can spiral out of control very easily, this whole problem of hallucination. So there's an absolute role for humans, and becoming masterful of prompt engineering and being able to yield your tool, your AI tool effectively, is going to be really, really important. So, hey, I've really enjoyed the conversation with you, and thank you.
No worries, Tony. Catch you on the next one.
Thank you.